Today at Main Street Service Center, had a customer come in and he said, "Hey Kevin, my brakes are making some bad noise. Can you check it out for me?" So we got in here, got it on the rack, and started checking it out. And what we found out is these brake pads are metal to metal. We initially took it for a test drive, but we initially went to take it for a test drive, but it was sounding so bad we didn't even leave the parking lot with it. You can see why. It's gone metal to metal. These are the metal tabs, which are on the back is the backing of the brake pad, and this is the braking material. This is actually what goes up against your brake rotor to slow you down, and you can see that there's nothing between the metal and his metal rotor, and so hence the terrible noise that we were hearing. And so let's talk about this material here real quick. This is a Wagner brake pad, and you can see how it's kind of tapered off on both sides, and then it's also got a taper right here. The reason those are there is to reduce noise. It deflects whenever the rotor is spinning and your brake pad goes up against it. These bevels right here actually deflect dirt and grit and grime that might be actually spinning around along with your rotor, and if you press your brake pads in on your rotor like that, and it traps it traps the dirt and dust and grit, that can actually cause a noise. And so these bevels are put in here to deflect that, and so it reduces noise, so you don't get that constant, very annoying squeak that happens whenever you apply the brakes. Now, every set of brake pads is going to make some kind of noise at some point, so they're not going to be silent all the time. However, this really helps the annoying stuff that just constantly making noise. On this brake pad, you can also see this is what's called the squealer, and this is the outside pad. It goes right in. This is a caliper, and the brake pads fit right in here inside the caliper. And on the brake squealer, what it does is whenever the brakes get down low enough, this tab right here actually starts scraping up against the rotor, so you have an idea that your brakes are getting close. Okay, this really won't do any damage to your rotor. It's designed just to make a noise to let you know that your brakes are getting close and need to be inspected. We recommend that you have your brakes inspected about once a year. That's a really good interval. That gives us a chance to make sure that your brake hoses are in good shape, that the rubber part is not, you don't have any dry rot cracks in here, or there's not been anything that's in the rotation of the tire, a stick or something's come up here and damaged your brake hose. Then you've got steel lines that go to it. We want to make sure that that hasn't been hit by anything and bent over and rubbing against something, possibly causing a brake fluid leak. So having your brakes inspected about once a year is what needs to be done. We're going to go over and see what's making all that noise. We turn rotors whenever a brake rotor comes in and it's thick enough, okay, it can actually be turned or machined. So whenever you hear a shop saying, "Hey, we need to turn your rotors," or "We need to machine your rotors," this is the type of machine that does that. And you can see it's got a real nice fresh surface on here now, and so it's going to be nice and smooth. So whenever the brake pads go up against it, whenever they're on your vehicle, again, that reduces noise. So a lot of times if you've got low waves, or maybe you've gotten a rock stuck in between your brake pad and your rotor at some point, and it's caused a groove in there, that type of stuff will cause noise. And so having your rotors turned or machined will help reduce that noise as well. You can only machine or turn your rotors down so thin before they become dangerous, and if you turn them down to their minimum thickness, unfortunately what happens is they don't last very long before you start feeling that vibration in your steering wheel whenever you apply the brake. You especially notice that at highway speed. If you're going down the road and somebody, you're fixing to come up to a turn, or somebody pulls out in front of you or whatever, and you apply the brake and you start getting that shaking, that's typically coming from your rotors being out of round or not true anymore. If you're experiencing that in your vehicle, you'd like to find out whether your rotors are thick enough where we can machine them, or if they need to be replaced, we can take care of that for you here at Main Street Service Center. We're located at 620 Goblin Drive. Our phone number is 741-4252. We've been in business for 24 years servicing Harrison, and we'd love to do your work for you if you don't have another provider taking care of it for you. Give us a call, come by and see us. Have a great day.
See our ad in Names and Numbers.